Hey everybody, how's it going? Yeah, let's see here. I think I got a couple people in here so far. Let's see. Oh, somebody was timed out. You want to dance? All caps. I don't know why they timed you out. Sorry about that. This is my first stream. Sorry if it timed you out for using all caps. That's one of the things Nightbot. I'll go back and tweak settings later. Yeah. So, sorry about that. Welcome. If it times you out again, well, try not to use all caps. I don't know what it deleted your message for. Yes, I am awesome. Hello. Yes, just turn off your caps. Nightbot doesn't like that, so it will, apparently it will time you out. So only for 5 seconds, so you should be good to go. Anyways, yeah, welcome. For those of you that are here right now, and for those of you that either are coming or are just going to watch us after it's done, we're going to be working and continuing our work on the resources. I do want to say that I had a comment the other day from Brian Ellington, and he was asking me if I was going to have this resource stuff done before February came because he's getting deployed. And first and foremost, like I told him in the comments, thank you for your service, and I hope you stay safe over there. So I'm going to do what I can specifically for him. I want to try to get these resources done because he says he's downloading the videos and he's going to take them over to wherever he's being deployed at with them, so he can have a little bit of extra stuff to do in his free time. So I'm going to do all I can to try to do it. I'm thinking there's probably going to be about 2 more episodes before I finish the resource stuff, but I'm going to do what I can to get there. So the last one will be the AI, and that's going to be the tricky part and probably the sticking point. So, but I'll do what I can. So that's all right. No problem, Aaron. So I just want to let you guys know I'm going to do what I can to kind of keep an eye on the live chat. I've got 2 screens really for this. I should probably have 3. Any questions you guys have that's related to today's topic, anything I'm doing today, I'm going to try to answer as I see them and as they come up. If you've got any questions in general about any of the other videos, any other stuff that's kind of unrelated to this, just kind of hold on to those till towards the end. I'll do an open Q&A, and yeah, we will. I'll try to answer them at that point. So just hold on to them till then. But I'll try to engage you guys as much as possible. But I've got several things going on off screen. In order to do this, so I'm trying to keep an eye on everything and get everything going. But I'm going to try to limit this. And let me see. I actually recorded this episode last night, and when I was done, like I said in my announcement, that I felt this would probably be a good live stream to do. But it took me about, even without doing a live stream and engaging with you guys, took me about an hour to do. So I'm going to try to keep this down around to about an hour. We'll have to see how it goes. If we go a little bit over, then, so be it. That's how it's going to end up being. So, but it should take us about an hour to actually do the code, and then however long it takes us to do questions and things like that. So let's go ahead and get this started. I got the project open here. And first things first, let's go ahead, and we got several things to do. On top of doing the resource stuff, we're actually going to do a data table. So I've been kind of anxiously trying to find a way to be able to do data tables because they are very useful and they're very handy. So we're actually going to incorporate it into the resources here. So we're going to be doing that. So let's go into the blueprints folder here, and let's see. Let's create a new folder. We will call this, actually, let me minimize this window right there. So create the new folder. What we're going to call it here is resources. And let's jump into this resource here and create a new blueprint, and we'll make it of type actor. Call this one resources master _ BP. All right, and this is going to be like we did with the buildings. This is going to be our master resources blueprint here. Everything, every child, every resource that we create is going to be a child of this. So it's going to inherit everything that this has. So what we're going to do in this is it's probably going to open this window off screen. Of course it does. What we're going to do in here is we got to think globally. We can't think about one specific resource. We're going to put in here everything that we need to do. Hey, all right, Devin, sorry you got to go, man. Sorry it's so late. You can watch this video again. It should be uploaded when it's done. So, yeah, you can just go ahead and come back and watch a little bit later. Thanks for stopping by, though. Appreciate it. And but yeah, so what we need to do is we need to think globally here for all the resources. So we're not going to know everything ahead of time what we're going to need, but we got a good idea of what we're going to need initially to get this going. So with this, let's go ahead and save that out. I hate this default root ball, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this here, and I'm just going to do a scene component utility right there. Just grab it and drop it up on top of there. So let's get rid of that. And we need a couple more components here. Let's add what do we need to do? We need to add a box collision. We're actually going to end up needing a couple of these, but we're only going to do one today. Let's call this one spawn area volume. And what this is going to do is this is going to pretty much tell the resource the area it's allowed to spawn at. All right, so that's what we're going to use this for. It's a collision, but we're gonna use it as a volume. So it'll be pretty cool once it's done. So compile it and save that. Let me see. We need another one. I thought of a couple different ways that I wanted to do this, but what I ended up settling on is we're going to use instant static meshes in here. I thought about making like 4 or 5 different static meshes in here, because the way I envision this, the way I'm going to kind of build this out is as the NPC go and start to harvest the resources, we're going to take away one of the static meshes, right? We're going to kind of make it dynamic, so that way as a player you're going around the screen, you can kind of see and get an idea of how much resources is left in a particular area without actually selecting it to see how much is left in there. So it'll be kind of a visual response. So I thought about doing that, but static meshes can get pretty heavy, so if you got a lot of resources in there, so what we're going to do is we're going to do instanced static mesh. It's much more performant. It's a little bit more restrictive of what you can do with it, but for our purposes here, it should be perfect. So I'm going to call this one instanced resource mesh. Let's go ahead and hit enter, and that should work for that for right now. So usually what I like to do is I don't like to add the variables and stuff until actually we need them. But as I was building this the other day originally, I try to think ahead of all the various things we're going to need. So we're just going to go ahead and pop down a bunch of variables right at this point. And the first one, let's call this one levels. And I'll try to explain these a little bit. You'll see how they're being used once we get to them, but I'll kind of try to explain it as we're doing it here. What this level is going to do, this is pretty much going to say how many of these instant static meshes we're going to be able to put into this spawn area. All right, and most of these are going to be editable. So go ahead and click the little eyeball right there. And one last thing I want to do, because it's going to make it easier when we put it into the editor and do our editing if it's in a category. So I'm going to call this one resources primary. All right, so that way, all our variables that are primary to this will be within this category. So it'll be a little easier to find. All right, so let's create another one. Let's call this one spawn area size. Make it of type vector. Go right here, and again, drop that in. And we'll set some default values to these in just a little bit. Let's just go ahead and jump pop the variables in for right now. Create that. And this one will be called production volume. Actually, I'm not going to do that one right now. We'll do that when we actually do the production, which will probably be the next episode. Let's call this one random rotation seed. And this will be actually of type random. Where is it? Random stream. That's the one we want right there. Select that. Again, make it editable. Drop it in here, and another variable. It's actually going to be the same type of variable here. So we'll call this one random, if I can spell random location seed. And this is going to be used for our randomness. I'll explain this. You'll see how this works. If you're unfamiliar with random streams, you'll become pretty familiar with them by the time we're done with this episode here. But yeah, we'll use these. I'll explain these as we get to them there. Create another one. Let's call this one pitch rotation threshold. Make it of type float. And I'm just going to Control W 2 more times. And let's call this one roll rotation threshold. go to the end here, delete the 0, and then this one we will call yaw rotation threshold. All right, and what these are going to do, you'll see we're going to use these in our rotation, our custom rotation, to be able to, some meshes may look better with specific, thresholds of their rotation. So this will just, I'm just trying to make this as customizable and usability wise when you drop it into the world. So we'll hook these up to allow you, when you're setting it in, to prevent the static meshes from, or the instance meshes from rotating along a particular axis on certain angles and degrees there. So that's that one. And let's create one more here, and we'll call this one Trace Z Nightbot. I am not spamming. It shouldn't be. I didn't see another message get blocked from you, so I don't see why. Did it give you another message there, Aaron? We'll call this one Trace Z Distance. This one really shouldn't have to change. I'm just putting it in here again, trying to keep things customizable in case you need it down the road. We'll explain that one as we use it, because we're going to end up doing some line traces to be able to place the static meshes along the landscape. So that's what we'll end up doing there for that. So let's go ahead and set some default values real quick. We need to compile it to be able to open everything up. Let's just set this one default level to 1. Spawn area size, let's put a default of 100, 100, and 50. Don't worry about the random seeds, the pitch rotation. Actually, we're going to set a couple values here for the slider range. I'm going to do 0 and 360. Hit enter, and 0 and 360. And the reason why I'm putting them in both these is because we have the slider right here that we can use. We'll be able to use this in the editor as well. But it'll stop at 360 and 0. It's within that range. And the value range, the reason why I set that is because you can click it and you can actually input the numbers right here. And if we entered 500, if we hadn't entered the value range right here, it would say 500. So we'd be able to go beyond that, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep it to 360. So that's why I put both those in there, and we'll do the same thing for these other ones. Did it give you another spam message here? 360. Hey Ben, how you doing? I don't know how many people are in the stream right now. Let me look. I want to see. I'm just curious. Let's see. Looks like there's, I don't know. Looks like there might be 8 of you, or at least that was concurrent. So I don't know how many are in here right now. Oh yeah, 8 of you in here right now. Sweet, awesome. Switch back to this other view real quick and pull this editor back up. All right. So yeah, we got those set here. And for the Trace Z distance, I'm actually going to sweet. All right, good. Yeah, this Trace Z distance right here, I'm going to set this to negative 10,000 because I usually run my traces. It's going to be used for our line trace. And I usually do it at around 10,000 because it doesn't really matter what you set this as far as, because as soon as it hits what it's going to stop tracing. So, well, under normal circumstance, you can have it continually trace. But all right, so let's compile and save that. With those set up, now we need to set up a couple other things that we're going to end up needing. There's actually one more variable that we're going to have to set up in there. Let's go to enums. We're going to actually create 2 enums that we're going to end up using here. The first one, let's go ahead and open this up. Blueprints, enumeration, and let's call this one proximity type underscore enum. The way I'm designing this is the mining shack that we built and any other type of resource gathering building. I'm making it to where you can only place it within a certain proximity of a resource. But this proximity type, what we're going to do with this is going to say, for the first resource we're going to do today is it's a granite resource. It's rock. I just had a rock mesh, so I threw it in here. So it's going to be mining. So we're going to have a mining category, a mining type. Eventually we'll probably have like farming, things like that. So, and what this will do is this will dictate, the mining shack will have an enum set in there saying that it's eligible to do mining, and this particular resource that we're doing today will say that it's mining. So they'll be compatible, so you'll be able to place the mining shack within the bounds of this. So that's what this is going to be for. All right, and we just need, we'll go ahead and create 3 right now. We're only really need 2 at this point. But we'll do it anyway. So the first one, let's do none. That's going to be the default value for us. Second one, we'll do mining. And just because we know eventually we're going to get to it, we'll just do farm or farming, however you want to do it. I'm just going to put farm in there. And then let's go ahead and save that out, close out. We're not going to need that again. And let's go ahead and create one more. And this one we're actually going to end up needing. You know what? We'll build that in just a second. Let's go ahead and do our data table right now. Now, if you're not familiar, hey, all right, Aaron. Yeah, Nightbot ate my son. No, it didn't eat my son. No, but if you're not familiar with the data tables, they're really handy. You can do a lot of the work outside in like a Microsoft Excel or another type spreadsheet program. I'm not going to show you that today because it's actually pretty easily managed within UE here inside the editor. So we're just going to stick to it here. So let's go into our struct. With a data table, before you build the data table, you have to have a struct, because a struct defines what values are going to be held within the data table. Yeah, 4.15. Yeah, the preview was released, about a week ago? I think it was released. I haven't done it yet. I'm thinking after I'm done with the resources, because so many people are still having problems updating to 4.14 with this project. I think after the resources are done, I'm going to update this to 4.14 and then do a video on how I did it and fix the issues. So hopefully that'll resolve it for everybody there for that. But yeah, look forward to that after these next few videos. All right, we need to create a new struct here, and let's see, we need to go to blueprints and go to structure, and let's go ahead and call this one resources underscore struct. If I can spell struct, enter, and open it up here. So the variables we need to do in here, eventually we'll probably end up having to put more in here. The nice thing about data tables is it's not going to break anything. Unlike a normal struct, when you use it, it's not going to break anything by adding or removing stuff. All you need to remember is down the road, after you create new variables for your data table, you've got to go back and set those values for everything you have inside your data table. So this first one, let's go ahead and call this resource mesh. And select this, go ahead and do a static mesh. I hate it when it does that, static mesh. We want the regular static mesh. We don't want the actor, because these aren't going to be actors. They're just going to be regular static meshes. Do a reference, create a new one. Let's call this one resources thumbnail. All right, and make this of type texture 2D. Where is it? Texture 2D right there, reference. What we're going to do with this is eventually we'll use this variable. Like I said, I was just trying to think ahead while I was doing this. We'll use this for displaying whatever resource we're looking at in the user interface and the GUI. So yeah, we'll just add that in here now and create another one. Call this one proper name, and make this of type string. And what this is going to be, actually, let me call this proper resource name. This is going to be the name that we will display to the player when they're looking at the resource. So that'll be used there. So that's what that's going to end up being. A new one, we'll call this one proximity type, and it will be of that newly created one called proximity type enum. And another one here, we'll call this, we only got a couple more here. Actually, we'll only do one more right now. Harvest time. I got one more in here, but I don't use it for this video. So harvest time. So this is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be based off of how long, the way I calculated this, and I went through in the original project and I wrote tooltips. You really should do it. I'll do it for this one. I don't want to bore you guys with doing that, but I'm posting your stream. Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that. What I'm doing with this harvest time, like I said, with the levels, we're going to put in so many meshes inside the spawn areas. Those meshes aren't going to dictate how many total resources are inside of the spawn area inside that particular resource blueprint. What we're going to do is we're going to create in here, and that was the one variable I said we're going to do not put in here yet, is the maximum resource. But we're going to set per instance, you're going to be able to set how much resource each one is going to have. And then what this harvest time will do, this harvest time is going to be based off of, let's see, we'll call it game time. It takes for NPC to harvest 100 units of the resource. So for every 100 units that the NPC will farm from whatever the resource is, we'll subtract one of the static meshes from inside the spawn area. So that's how I plan on doing that. So, but this harvest time, remember, it's game time. So let's go ahead and we'll set just a couple default values in here. That needs to be none. For this, just to have something in here, I'm going to put resource as the proper name default, and the default time I'll just put at 1 hour. Now this time is for per 100 units. So if you've got a spawn area that can have upwards of 300 or 500 or 1,000 total resources within that spawn area, then it's going to take 100. If you've got 1,000, it's going to take 10 game hours for them to completely abolish that entire resource. So just keep that in mind. A lot of this will have to come back. We keep them low for testing, but a lot of this you'll have to come back when it's time to actually balance out your game. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's go ahead and save that out. And now let's go ahead and create our data table. And I forgot to delete that folder. Like I said, I recorded this last night, so I had to go back through and delete everything here. So I created inside the main RTS tutorial here, folder called data tables inside here. Let's go ahead and create our data table. It's under miscellaneous. Come up here to data table, and this is why we needed the struct first. You need to pick one. So let's go to our resources struct and press OK. And let's go ahead and call this resources underscore DT for data table. Open this up, and now you're going to see, because we bound it to that in there to that struct, all our stuff up here. And this is just going to be for information purposes up here. What we're going to do, the first one we're going to make today is just going to be like a granite mine. So just click the plus button right here. It's going to say new row. That's the name of it right here. This drop down box is going to be, if you have multiple in here, it's just going to be able to, you can select it from here pretty easily. But to set the name of the row, now when you set this name of the row, try to be consistent with everything, because the other enum we're going to make is going to use this exact same naming convention, the names you use here, to decide which from the data table, which resource we need to pull to get the information out. So if you use camel casing, whatever you do, you just got to be consistent. I'm just going to call this Granite. Okay, so just to make sure I'm consistent, I'm going to push Control C, and I'm going to come back out here, and let's make this other enum that I was referring to, and go to Blueprints, Enumerations, UE Slackers, and a few private core servers I am part of. Hey, all right, man, appreciate it. Hopefully, yeah, we can get some other people in here. I don't know how many people are in here right now. I can't see the screen. I've got so many things going on the on my second monitor here that I can't really tell. Let's see, and it says high CPU usage. So hopefully the stream's health is doing all right. I'll have to probably look at that in a second. But let's call this new one resources row names underscore enum. That's a mouthful, I know, but let's open that up now. Maybe, yep, there it is. And let's create a new one. And Control V will paste in Granite. And I think, let me check my other one here real quick. Yeah, I did. Let's create another one right here, and we'll call this one none, and move it up here. We want the none on top here. All right, so we want that selectable, because if none's selected, then we'll just need it. You'll see for the program later. So that's all we need for that right now, because that's all we're going to create is the Granite mine. So go ahead and close that down. And in here, this is going to be our Granite. We'll come back. We'll set the default values for this a little bit later. So we'll just leave that open for now. Control S to save it. But we've got it built. And you can see if we entered stuff in here, it will be populated up here, so you can see everything in here. So let's go ahead and jump back into the resource master. And one more variable for right now. We'll call this one resource. And we will make this of type resource, I believe I did it this one, resource row name enum. Okay, let me just double check, make sure that's what I did. Yep, resource enum. Okay, perfect. And we don't want that one editable. So, and we won't put it inside our resources primary for right now. Compile it and save it. Maybe compile and save it. Let me check the health of the log. I will be back. All right, Aaron, I'll see you in a bit. And it says my stream is still pretty good. Hey, there's 11 of me in there. All right, welcome everybody. So, yeah, okay. So it shows everything's pretty good right now. Let me jump back here. Open once I close, look at the different window. I got to get all my other windows back up. All right, most of our work is going to be in the construct. I hate it when it does that. Is going to be in the construction script, right? Because the construction script is built regardless if the game is running or not. It's going to run this construction script, so which is perfect because we want to be able to manipulate this without the game running. So when we're doing our level design and dropping the resources in, we can have full control of everything that we want each resource independently to do. So we're going to set everything up in here. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all we need for make sure. Yeah, for now, that's all the components that we're going to end up needing in here. So now that we got everything built up, we can just go ahead and start doing this now. Come on now. Let's drag out our resource right here. Let's get it. And right click in the graph. Let's do get data table. We don't want the get data table row names. That will return just an array of every single resource name that you have within the data table. We actually want to get the row. So get the data table row. All right, let's go ahead and hook this in right here. Make sure that we select our data table. So it's a resources data table. And now all of a sudden the row names, every row name in here will be populated. You can select from, but that's why we created this right here. Now in my testing, it tells you can go ahead and pull this in here and plug it in like that. It's not gonna work. All right, so for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. So what you gotta do is just pull off and go to string. And let's do not the byte. You want the enum to string. And then now with this string, we can plug it in, it'll convert it to a name. So and we'll be good to go with that. So I don't know why it does that, but I've had that issue before with enums and just trying to plug them straight in. You've got to actually physically set them or convert them. All right, let's go ahead and right click this now. And we're going to promote this to another variable. We're going to call this one resource struct. Okay, and all the information that we populate inside the data table now is going to come out into this struct. So we'll never, this is why using the data table is better than just using a normal struct like we have in the past. And really, you can go back and all the other stuff that we use a struct for, you could do a data table for all your character profiles and things like that. I may eventually look at doing that down the road, but if you want to do that, go right ahead. It's not that hard to do, but it's going to require a lot of going back and re-optimizing a lot of code to use the data table. But with this, we don't add, beyond this, we're not going to have to set the resources struct again. We just pull information off of it. So it's going to make it real handy for us. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and, since it's right here, let's just go ahead and break this and open this up. We need to pull out our instanced resource static mesh right here. Pull this out. Let's go ahead and set the static mesh. So now let's go ahead and define what the static mesh is going to be. All right, and then pull off of our resource static mesh right there, and then plug it in. We can minimize that. And then just plug it in. So now, even though this is the construction script, we don't have anything set up into our data table. So it's not going to populate anything here right now. So just so we can actually see something happening with our work, let's go ahead and do that right now. Like I said, I've already went through and I did do this a while ago. Actually, I did this when I did the mining shack. I've got this rock right here. It's just a rock mesh, but it's a rock mesh that I got off of Quixel's Mega Scans. I bought a bunch of stuff off of there. They got some really good stuff. I haven't played with all of it yet, but I've got it. This is where I got it from. It's pretty nice high poly mesh, or relatively high poly mesh. And I'm just going to use this. It's just a regular old static mesh. But within the starter content, this is what I'm going to be using. Within the starter content is, you can find a rock in here. So if you go to your starter content, just type in rock. And it's going to, here's one right here that you can use. So just if you don't have a static mesh of your own, then just go ahead and grab that one. You'll be good to go. So yeah, we're going to use this static mesh right there. So let's just go ahead and go into the Oh, I got the rock. I was like, what do you mean I don't have any data tables? Let's go ahead and open that back up. So with our Granite selected here, the resource static mesh, let's go ahead and select your mesh for that. And might as well just go ahead and do this now. We'll just call this one Granite. Proximity type will be mining. And harvest time, we're not going to be able to test any harvesting today, but just so I don't forget down the road, I'm going to set it to a half hour. So that'll be a half hour. And this is what I was talking about with the with setting the tooltips. See, if I come up here and go, what did I make this for? It just says proximity type. But you should go ahead and see, when you're doing these, and set the tooltips on them, because now you come here and it says game time it takes for an NPC to harvest 100. You say, oh, okay, yeah, that's how I set that up. So tooltips are definitely good to use. All right, so we got that set up. Let's go ahead and make sure we save that. And we're not going to need back in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that out there. And back into our resource master. And if we come in here just to test it out, even though this is the master, we don't want this to be anything other than none. We'll do that separately. But just so we can see it as we're doing it, we're going to go ahead and make this a Granite. So let's go back into the construction script right here. And let's compile it. And for whatever reason, it's not there. We'll get to it. It'll show it right there. So instant static mesh. It's construction script. Well, let's just get it going right now. Move this along. So, all right. Yeah, I don't know how long we've been into this. So, anyways, let's grab this spawn volume right here. Now we need to be able to define the area, the spawn area volume. Like I said, we're going to use this to keep all the static meshes within this. So we're going to have to go back and we're going to have to set some collisions and overlaps and things like that on it. But for now, we don't need to. But we need to define how big this box is. So let's drag out of here and do set box extent. All right. Remember the extent. What the extent is pretty much a half height from the pivot point. It determines in all axes from the pivot point, which for this, the pivot point is right in the middle. Okay, so it's determining from this point how tall it is in all directions, but it's half height. The extent itself is actually a half height. So what we need to do with this, though, is we need to take our spawn area size. Let's get it, and we'll just plug that into the spawn extent, or into the inbox extent right there. But we're going to define the spawn area. We're going to use this here to be able to set some other stuff. But first we need to drop in a loop, a for loop, just a regular old fashioned for loop, and plug this in. And now we're going to take, now that we've got these set, and that's really why this instant static mesh, why it didn't show in the viewport yet. It will once we set this up. Traditionally, when you're doing for loops, your first index is usually going to be a 0. Most programmers always try to keep things 0 base, because that's, the way programming usually works, is it's 0 base. But it is okay to start differently, and we are just going to start with the 1 right here in the first index. And our last index will go ahead and be this levels variable that we created. So that way, if you put a 0 in here, you can't, but then now you got to come out here and you've got to subtract this and subtract 1 from this and then plug it in. And just to save some space, we're not going to worry about doing a 0 based on this. So now for each one of these, what are we going to do? Well, we need to add an instance of this static mesh into the spawn area. So let's go ahead and grab this instance static mesh again and pull it out. And let me see. Keep up the good work. Always nice to see a female gamer with integrity. Sweet. Well, I'm not a female gamer, but hey, that's all right. Pull this out and let's do a add instance. And you don't want the add instance world space. You're going to see in a minute, we're actually going to convert it to world space. But as we bring it into the world, we don't want it to be. We want it to be local space within the spawn area is what we're going to end up doing. So make sure it's the one without world space. Okay. And let's plug this in right here. And now it requires a transform. So now we're going to get into a little bit of heavy stuff up in here to create this transform. So let me check real quick the status of everything and make sure that the health of the stream is still pretty good. Still looks all right. How many people are in here? All right, sweet, 12 of you. All right, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the health of the stream was still looking pretty good. So I don't want to be dropping any frames or anything like that. So let's bring the project back so I can see. All right, yeah, so here's where we're going to incorporate all our random features for rotation and location. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to grab, just create some space in here. We need to grab our spawn area volume and drag off this. We need the box extent, which is the box extent that we set down here using the spawn area size. Okay, oops, we don't want to set it though, we want to actually get it. Let's do that again. Box extent, we need to get it. And then let's just right click on this and split the struct pins. We're gonna ultimately what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be setting the rotation right here, but the Z is gonna be something special, so it's not gonna be as important in this particular process that we're doing for the random rotation and locations, but we'll still have to make sure we hook it straight back up into the vector when we make it. All right, so now we need to do let's go ahead and do a random float in range from stream. All right, go ahead and select that, and I'll explain it. It's going to be easier to show you if you don't understand what the difference with the stream and the other one is. It'll just be easier to explain it once we actually get it. So the seed that we're going to use, this is going to be for location. So grab the random location. Let's just go ahead and get this random location seed right here and just drop it into the stream right there. All right, so now we need a minimum and maximum value. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the box extent. Remember, this is half height and it's going to give you the positive value half height from that. So what we need to do is we need to take this and just multiply it by -1. All right, that's going to be our minimum value. That'll give us I believe it's the top of the box, and then just take the X and plug it straight into the max right there. So that way now the extent will give us the full X direction for the box extent for the spawn area volume. All right, and we're going to have to just do the same thing for the y-axis. Like I said, we're not going to do it for the z because the z is going to be a different beast that we're going to handle here in just a couple minutes. So just now take the y, plug it in there, -1, turn that into the minimum, and the y, just plug it in the maximum, and then hook up the random stream right there. So now we've got this. This is going to be our random location. Go ahead and drag this out. We need to make a vector, and then plug this into the y, and then our z, we'll go ahead and just plug it straight into the z because we don't want to lose this information, because if we made this vector without the z hooked up, we would lose that information when we go to call it a little bit later. Okay, so let's go ahead now and work on a random rotation. Oops, I forgot to put my chat box back in the screen right there. All right, so now the random rotation, and let's just drag this out because we're going to end up needing, I need a drink of my soda. All right, let's get this random rotation seed and right click, and let's do random rotation rotator from string. Grab that, plug this in. Now we get this option right here to enable or disable the roll. We're going to go ahead, and because we have set these up right here for the thresholds, we're going to go ahead and enable this. You can turn it off by any of these thresholds. If you set it to 0, it's effectively going to disable any random rotation within that. So we're going to enable this because there's going to be some meshes that you're not going to want to roll. You know, things like trees and stuff like that. You're not going to want to be able to have it roll. You know, it looked kind of funny if the tree was upside down in the world. So under certain circumstances, you don't want to do that. But the way we're setting it up, we want all axes available, because our first one here that we're going to be doing with the granite, it's going to be nice to be able to give that extra randomness to each rock so we can push them all together and make it look as good as possible. So we'll just go ahead and plug that in right there. Make sure that the roll is set to true. And with this, let's go ahead and right click and split it. Let's do drag off the roll, and we're going to end up having to do this for all of them, but let's go ahead and clamp the values of this float. All right, we're going to end up having to do this 3 times. So I'm just going to Control W and drop it in. We're going to end up having to clamp it for all of them. All right, and what we need to do is pretty much what we did up here. We still got to run negatives, but what we need to do is we need to grab each one of these thresholds, the pitch, roll, and the yaw, and just go ahead and drop them in here and do a multiply it by, and actually we probably don't really need to do this. We could probably leave it at 0 because you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to, I was in my original code, I did the same thing up here. I did multiply it by -1, but I don't believe this actually returns a negative value. That's why I originally did it, but I don't think it does. I think it just returns a value from 0 to 360. So with that, we don't need to worry about doing anything less. So the minimum value is going to be 0. So plug the roll into the max right here, because we got the roll set up. Take the pitch, put it into the value, the pitch of our threshold, and put it into the max, and into the max for the yaw, and then punch that one into the value. So that should be all we have to do. If we have a little bit issues with this, you might have to come back and set this to multiply it by -1 and plug it in here like we did up there. And that should be it for our randomness for the rotation. So now let's just go ahead and pull off this and do make rotator. Plug that in, make sure it's hooked up. This is our X, this is our Y, which is pitch, and this one is our yaw. Plug that in right there. So now we can come back here and right click this and do, actually we could just pull off of this and do make transform. So let's just plug this in right now. We take our random rotation right there and our random location and plug it in right there. Scale, we're not going to worry about scale. Now keep in mind though, because there are certain things in the world, this particular mesh I'm using right now is actually regular scale, and the actual mesh itself is actually about half of a normal person size, but at regular scale it's actually a little bit taller, and I left it like that just to make it look like, you know, a dominating kind of resource. Hey, what's up, Starry? It's good to see you, man. Glad you can make it. Sorry about the confusion about not being on earlier, so sorry about that. But yeah, so keep that in mind though with the scale of the unit. If you do set the scale down like we did with a lot of the other things in the world, you know, our buildings are like, I think 25% scale. If you do that, then what you need to do is you need to actually get the scale from the instant static mesh. We haven't placed it in the world yet. Yeah, actually, yeah, you just need to pull off your instant static mesh, pull it off. It doesn't really matter. Let's see. I think you go like this and get, I don't know if you can get the scale. Get world scale, get relative scale. Just go get transform. Let's see. It should be get socket transform, get world transform. Yeah, you do get world transform, and then just break this or split this apart, and then just pull the scale out and plug it in right there. That should work. I'm not going to worry about it because, like I said, my mesh is you know, set at full scale anyway, so I'm just going to leave it at 1. But keep that in mind as you move forward, because I didn't even think about that until just now. But I'm going to keep like that because, like I said, it's full scale. So let's see, we got that. We plugged that in. Move my screen over here. All right, so now we need to convert this. So we need to take this information. We need to actually convert this to world space, because what happens if we take this and place this into the world, and you're not going to see it right now, but and there's our static mesh right now because we went through the for loop. So awesome, we got it in there. So every time we recompile or move the object around, it's going to give it a new location and stuff like that. It's not doing it right now, but because we're not done with it. So anyways, the way I was setting this originally, it shoots through the excuse me, it shoots through the volume right here and just hits the world. So it didn't really matter on the z-axis how high or how big the z was on this, and I didn't really like that. So I worked pretty hard to try to get this to solve properly, to where regardless of how far you set your Z trace distance, the mesh is never going to go outside the bounds of this box. So it just makes it a little bit more dynamic. So that's the way it's going to end up being right here. So we need to run some line traces though on this. Hey, sorry man, I don't read Russian. You know, I got a couple Russian employees at work, but I still haven't bothered to try to learn Russian. That's a pretty tough language. I know they said English is the toughest language to learn, but yeah, I don't know if I could do Russian. But so I can't pronounce your name. I apologize for that. But thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. So okay, what we need to do now, in order to do that, we need to convert this to world space, and that's pretty easy to do. Let's just go ahead and drag off of this now, because we need to get transform. Let's see, get instance. Let's do get instance. It'll be a little easier. Get instance There we go. Get instance transform, and that's what you would do up here. You wouldn't get the world transform. Get the instance transform and pull the scale off of that, and that should get you. Or you could probably actually pull off of this. Let's see. I'm just sorry. I know I'm backtracking. Yeah, get static mesh. So you can get the static mesh from this, and then get the scale off of this to be able to set that. So you can do that right there. All right, so as this comes out, this is going to actually, every instance that you add, if we select this right here, you're going to see, you can do this manually if you want. Whenever you're doing instance static meshes, just so you know, you can hit the plus button right here under instances and set your own, but it's ultimately gives you an array. And this is the problem I was running into originally, because I'd already decided that I was going to, delete the static meshes as as the resources deplete. But the problem is it's not fully featured. You can't pull, I thought you could, but you can't go get instances. You can get the instance count, transform, overlap box, and sphere. That's really the only information that you can get from that. You pull off this, we go to component, instance static mesh, and these are all the functions, the only functions that are available to this right here. So yeah, it's pretty limited. You can't pull it out. You can find out how many are in there, but that's about the extent of it. But so we've got to go through this a little bit of headache to do it, but it's pretty easy because it's going to do this on each iteration of this loop. So all we really need to do, and I'm going to go ahead and promote this to a local variable, and we will call this one resource, and we'll call it, what do I call it, instance index underscore, and I like to do my locals in all caps so it's easily visible from going on. So with each iteration, it's going to reset this with the current index value of its loop. All right, so with this index value, we're going to take this and we need to index this right here. Right. Oh, no, that's not what we want. We still need that, so leave that there. But that's not the one we want, actually. Sorry about that. We need this right here, because once we add it, it returns what index it's at. So we need that one. But we do need this just so we don't have to drag wires down the road. Make sure you select world space right here. All right, it's now going to give us the world transform for this instance. So let's right-click on here and do a split struct. Grab our location, and we need to break this out. So break the vector, move this up a little bit. We're going to need a little bit of space, and let's add a line trace by channel. Plug in the execution here, and our starting location, I'm just going to take the straight location from the transform and put it into the start. All right, so now what we need to do is right click on the end. Let's just go ahead and split this open. We're only worried about the Z in this factor because we're already setting the location of the sphere. It's already limited to the size of the spawn box up into here, but we want this to follow the contour of the landscape. So all we're going to do here is the Z. So take the X and Y and just plug those in. We don't want to alter those values. Now with the Z, just go ahead and leave that blank. Don't drag that in. Just leave that right there. But take our trace distance right here and just plug this in. Remember, the default value of this is negative 10,000. You can pretty much set this to what you want. You don't even need this variable, but you want to make it as customizable as possible because, at this point, you probably don't know what your level is going to look like. So you might have extremely high terrain that you want to put this resource on the side of this big old hill or something that's more than 10,000 units tall. This variable can be set per instance per, that you drag into the world. So if you need a greater trace distance, this just prevents you from having to come straight into code to do it. You can set it directly in the editor while you're placing the resource into the world. So that's why I did it right there, just for usability and usability. We'll leave it at that. So now our trace channel, let's go ahead and do landscape because that's what we want to go against. And the rest of it should be all right. We don't need any debug or any actors to ignore or anything like that. Make sure it says ignore self. And yeah, the rest should be all right. Grab a drink of my soda. My throat's a little dry. I'm not used to this much talking. And so let's go ahead and pull off this out hit now and do a break, hit results. All right, now it's going to give us all the results from the trace that we found right there. And there's only going to be a couple things that we need off of this. Ultimately, what we need is this impact point. Go ahead and right click that. Let's split that out. And what this is going to do, it's not going to show it now because I split it apart, but this gives us the actual position in the world that the trace hit. All right, so that's what we want. You could do location, but let's see. Let me go ahead and put this back together so we can read the tooltip here. Recombine the struct. Impact point, location of the actual contact point of the trace shape when the surface of the hit object, equal to location in the case of an initial overlap. But yeah, I think that's what location does. It kind of takes overlap in the world, shape in the world where it will not penetrate. But yeah, we want the impact point here. All right, so we want the actual spot in the world that is hitting on the z-axis right there. So with that, now we need to clamp this value because we want it to stay within the size of the spawn box. So take out the z value. Let's go ahead and clamp it, clamp float. And the values we need to clamp it to here, we can probably pull this up a little bit here, is we need to grab our spawn area volume, drag this out, and let's get world location. So we want the world location of this, because remember we switched it back here into world location. So we're working in world location. And so we pull out get world location from that. Let's go ahead and right click and let's split this struct out. And then we need our box extent. So get extent right there. And again, right click and let's go ahead and split this open. I feel like a doctor as much as I'm splitting everything open. Would make a whole lot more money. So now we need to take this though, okay? So we need to set a minimum. Let me go ahead here. Oops, stop it. We need to set a minimum and a maximum value right here. So let's go ahead and worry about the minimum. So pull off this one and do a minus float, and then we'll take the z from this. So we want to subtract its world position, or subtract the box extent from its world position. All right, and then we just take this value, go ahead and plug it into the minimum right there. And then for the maximum, it's just going to be the opposite. We take the z value right there, add float plus float, and then take the z volume from the extent, plug it in right there, and that's going to be our maximum value for the clamp right there. So that's as far as the trace is going to come back. So the impact point, regardless of where it actually hits, it's going to clamp it within this box right here. All right. So cool. So now we need to recombine all this back into a location and a transform that we can put, because you'll see in a second, like I said, it's pretty limited the things you can actually get and set on an instant static mesh. So the only thing we can set is a transform. So we got to rebuild that transform now. So let's go ahead and grab our instant static mesh and pull off this one. You could drag off the numbers up there if you want. I was getting ready to point at my screen like you could see me. I like doing that. I don't know why. You could drag off of here if you want, drag wires everywhere, but I'm not gonna. You probably should. I mean, just to save this call to it right here, but I'm not worried about it. So instance index. What did I do with that? Oh. Yeah, you know what? That's what I need to do. That's where I messed up right here. This variable right here, this is why I created it in the first place. Let's unclick this, unmove it. We want it right here. This is the value we want. We want the actual index of the instance. We don't want the index of the for loop. So because now if we made the 0 based, then these indexes should theoretically match up. But we'll just do it like this. So set that right there and then plug this back into the line trace. I'll go back and clean this all up later. I meant to set my timer to see how long I've been streaming, but I forgot to do it. So, all right, now we pull out this local variable. Now that we got the right values right there, plug that in again. Select world space right there. So now we got the transform of that. Where am I at? Oh, I moved my screen around. Let's go ahead and right click and let's do a make transform. Make another one because we're going to have to reconstruct all this one. But with this one, let's go ahead and break this or split this part and plug in your scale. Plug in your rotation because we only changed the location right here. And then for this location, Let's split this one open as well. You can break all these if you want, but splitting it's just as easy and saves less screen space. So, and it's probably better to actually break them out instead, or in this case, this would have been set make a vector. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. So this is our Z value right here. Plug that into Z, and we'll right click on here, and we'll split this one out, and we'll take the Y, plug it in there, and the X, and plug it into there, because again, all we're doing is altering the Z here. So now we take this transform, and now we grab our instanced resource mesh, grab it again, pull it out, and now we will update instance transform. All right, you don't set it, you update it. So I don't know why they named it like that, gave that naming convention, but they did, so that's what it is. Plug it in there, and I don't know, it's weird when you get these long pins like this. I don't know if you've ever noticed, they kind of get weird sometimes. So when they're long like that, I like to put in a little reroute in the middle. It keeps it from getting all wacky. So now we take our new updated transform, we put it right there again. Make sure you have world location or world space set right there. Mark render state is dirty. No, we don't want to do that. We want to leave that blank. And that is it. That really should be all we have to do. Compile it and save it. And let's go back out here. I want to take this now, this resource. We set this to Granite. We want it to be none because this is the master. So compile it and save it. Come back in and viewport, and that rock should be gone. So come back out here now and into our resources folder, and right click on the resource master, create a child blueprint, and we will call this Granite underscore BP. Open it up, and let's set some default values for it. So we need to come in here, class defaults, have it selected. See, since we named the categories right here, don't worry about the levels. All this stuff in here is pretty much going to be manually set. Really, the only thing we need to set right at this point is going to be that right there, Granite. We pop that in there. So if we come in here right now and we add multiples, you can change the values in here in the viewport, but that's not why we created it. So let's go ahead and reset that back to default, compile it and save it. And crossing our fingers, everything should work. So if we drag our Granite blueprint out here into the world, go like this, and it's falling. Oh, I know why it's falling. It's like it's falling through the world, but it's actually not falling through the world. That's part of the random rotation. Oh, one other thing I want to do to kind of make this more scalable, go back into our resource master and select the spawn area size. You got this little button right here, show 3D widget. So if we select that, recompile it and save it, come back out here. Now we've got this little thing right here. If we select this, we can change the size of this spawn box. Sweet. So we could do that all nice and neat. So now these other variables that we ended up setting, let's go ahead and make this something a little bit nicer and easier to work with. Open this up, give it some nice space, and if you select back on the rock, now you get the normal movement tool here. So this is why I really gave the thresholds here for being able to randomize and kind of clamp everything down. Now, the random rotation from seed, what this does, just to explain it, is even though we didn't set a default value to it, it changes with every instance. It just gives you a random value to start with. But you can change this and change the random seed. You're not going to really notice anything change with it right at this point because we only got one static mesh in there. But you will with the location, right? You'll notice that right off the bat. But what we did here, now I need to get it back to where it was under the world. All right, so let's say we have a bunch of different meshes in here within the world, and they jumped up. I don't know why they jumped up. I think I missed something. Oh, no, let me see here. Yes, those static meshes should not be up in the world like that. That's kind of odd. I must have missed something. I'll have to go back and look at that in a second. But we've got all these in here right now, right? So we could set the random rotation and location. They all just kind of move around in the world. But with this one right here, it's down underneath the world. So now we can select this, right? So we've got all these other ones that are nice and pretty, and I'll have to figure that out real quick, that are all nice and pretty, but you just kind of want to clamp it down to where, it just gives you that kind of level of control. You can do it like this to where It clamps it down for the random value ranges. Same thing with the yaw. Set that one up. I didn't set default value for that one. And yeah, so that's a lot of control that we have within here. Now, anyways, with this random stream, what it does is if we were to move this in the world without the random stream, if it was just a regular get random float in a range, because every time you move it, it's running the construction script. All these meshes would change to a new random location and rotation. Every single one unit that you move it is going to change. And that's not cool, because if you set it in the world right here and you go, okay, I got this set perfectly, I like the way these meshes are lined out, but it's not in the right location that I want it, and you go to move it, you just lost everything, and you're not ever going to get it back. You're never going to find those random numbers again. So with this, by doing this, it keeps it there. You can change it. If you change the initial seed right here, it will change everything in there, and make it random. But as long as you leave these numbers the same, it's never going to change. It's always going to be in the same spot. So let's go ahead back real quick. We're just about done here. Let me figure out what the heck happened with that, why that is moving up like that, because it really shouldn't be. I'll figure out, did I not hook something up properly? Resource construction script. I got this spawn area Z. So yeah, because we're just about at the end, you guys can go ahead and if you've got any questions, ask them. Let me know. Let's go ahead, and if you got questions specifically about what we just did today, then go ahead and throw them in there. But yeah, we're about ready to open up the open Q&A. Since I got the project open, we can go back and look at something if you're having a problem with anything with one of the other tutorials, because I'm sure not all of you are up to where we're at, or to where I'm currently at in this video. So yeah, if you got any questions, get ready, throw them out there, and I can always scroll back and take a look at them. So what is going on here? I'm just right at this point, I'm just comparing and seeing what I'm missing. Why that? Because those meshes, and they weren't even last night. You could see in the video I did last night. That shouldn't be it, but that's really looks like the only difference I did was that ZZ trace distance. Make sure that trace distance, I mean, because it's weird that kind of the first one is down on the ground, but the rest aren't. That's what's really kind of baffling. Seeing you get one mesh down there, but the rest are like way up in the world. So it's happening on, I would assume then, that is happening inside the loop somewhere. So index levels is going through here. Completed, we don't have anything on the completed because we don't need to do anything on completed. Landscape, we got that set right there. Trace Z distance, that's right. Impact point Z. Clamp the value, get world location of the spawn. Minus, minus, plus, plus. That's all right. Index value. Out. Oh, I know what I did. Okay. All right, lesson learned. I knew this too. We need to disconnect these, right? We don't want anything from the location from this, right? Because as you can see, things kind of get messed up along the way for some weird reason. Actually, I don't know why it would, because actually I thought that I'd be able to use this when I was originally building it. What we need to do is we need to come in here to the trace start. Right click on that, split this out. We want from the trace start, which is ultimately the same thing, right? Is we're just pulling out from right here and getting the location, breaking it out. But for some reason within here, it's just kind of getting lost. So let's set the trace start X right there and the trace Y right there. There, that should now fix it. Let's go ahead and compile it and save it. Come back out here, update it, and no, it didn't fix it. I'm going to delete this because sometimes you just got to do that. Drag this back into the world, and let's set it to something a little bit bigger. First mesh is on the ground, and the others are not. I don't understand what is going on. So yeah, you guys got any questions while I try to fumble and debug this? Oh, Yeah, that fixes it right there. That is why. I know exactly why. Take our instance index local. Let's get it. Let's plug that in right there. Compile it, save it, come back out here. Bam, there they are. Now they're all down in the world. So yeah, now I'm just going to do some demonstration here, just in how this works, as we're doing our landscape. So throw out any questions. I don't even know if there's anybody in the stream. Let me look. I'm assuming that you guys are out here in the stream. Yeah, it says there's 14 of you, concurrent total view time. It says peak concurrent 14. I don't know if there's actually 14 of you in here. Let me go to Nightbot. I don't know why Nightbot's not giving me any stats. I thought it would. Timeouts. Yeah, it's not even showing me your timeout there, Aaron. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird. I don't know how to tell. Dashboard. This is my control panel. So yeah, anyways, you guys got any questions? Hey, Raymond. I'm here lurking. Sweet. Ben, we are still here just lurking. Nice. Awesome. All right, just making sure. I don't know why it's not giving me those stats right there, how many people are in here. My first live stream. Sorry. To be honest, I was a little nervous coming into this, just being my first one. I mean, I've live streamed before, but I was just doing Call of Duty, and that was on Twitch, and I maybe had like 2 people watching me. I did some Minecraft live stream too, but that's just Minecraft. Anyways, so yeah, you guys got any questions? Anything going on? Waffle Smasher, sweet. I like that name. That's awesome. What's up? Happy Face. Yeah, I recognize a lot of you guys there asking a lot of questions in the comments. So yeah, it's good to see you guys all here. I'm glad to be able to finally interact with you. Let's do some landscape here real quick. I'm going to drop this down, do Sculpt tool, brush, make sure the tool strength, the brush strength is really kind of strong in this, so keep that in mind. If you hold shift on this, I'm just going to lower this landscape a little bit. I'm not going to do it a whole lot. And just kind of lower it down. And actually, it's a little bit easier. If you come in here and do, I don't think I set this right. If you're tired of the exposure, always kind of constantly change it. I did fix this to log 0 right here, so that way the lights didn't change every time you move the camera, because it tends to drive you nuts and give you a little bit of a headache sometimes. So that's what I did there. But if you turn this to wireframe, then come over here to your BP sphere and shut that off. So now all we got is the static meshes and more importantly, the landscape. So it's a little easier to see how you're sculpting things in wireframe mode. And so that's just all I'm doing right here. I'm going to dare to move this up just a touch. Oh, I didn't hold shift. Need to hold shift and move this landscape down. There we go. And I did it a little too much. So we can come back in here and smooth this. My first viewing, but I've subscribed for when I want to make an RTS. Awesome. Yeah, I hope you guys can make something awesome with anything I teach you. Am I on smoothing? I am not on smoothing. Yeah, I am on smoothing. It's just strong. Yeah, I hope you guys can really make something. I actually had somebody the other day, not somebody I recognize, new to the channel, I think, or I don't know if they subscribed or not, but actually asked me if I had a royalty for them using my tutorials. I move this down, tool strength, for using the tutorials. And while, hey, that would be awesome. That's why it's doing it. I thought it was on smooth. That's not what I do this. I hope you guys can make something totally awesome with all of this. Got a question. Are there any plans to cover multiplayer in this series? I get asked that a lot. And was that you, Raymond? Sweet. Yeah, no, yeah, actually it was. I do recognize your name now. Yep. Nope, man, make something cool with it. Do whatever you want. It's funny. I never thought of being any sort of teacher. I'll get back to your question in just a second, Waffle. Or Ben, sorry about that. I never really thought about being a teacher because really my patience is pretty low. I've got pretty low patience. Though since I've had kids, my patience, I've learned to get more patience. But my mom's an instructor. She's a professor at actually the university I work at for my real job. And I guess it's kind of in the blood. She ain't got no patience either, but she's a hell of a teacher. She's a hell of an instructor, or professor, however you want to call her. So yeah, let's get our wireframe here. Okay, so now, Ben, yeah, multiplayer. No, I don't have any plans. Originally when I was making this, project. It wasn't meant to do it as a series. I was just kind of trying to push my limits and learn Unreal Engine. And I wanted to do that like an Age of Empires kind of a thing. But really, when I started you look at some of the main aspects of that style of game where you got combat and things like that. And you've got things like Fog of War. That's a big one right there. Everything I've seen to this point, and which is even minimal at best, I've asked everywhere and tried to find everything with it. There's no information on how to do it. There's some, I have seen some lately, and actually I think there's actually a plugin that you can buy now off of the marketplace that actually does a Fog of War, or similar to that in blueprints. So it is possible doing some material tricks, but it is pretty computationally heavy. You can do it in C++. Unfortunately, my C++ skills is really minimal. I've only learned C++ to a certain extent, and that's because of this engine. And I really haven't even had the time to try to push those skills any. So that was one limitation that I had with wanting to do that. Another limitation, and actually I think I've solved this. I've had a lot of people ask me about this as well, and I just need to sit down and play with it because, even when I'm not doing this stuff, I'm actually constantly thinking about Unreal Engine and everything that I'm doing. And so I think I've got some ideas in my head, but being able to, let me get this back into lit mode here. Being able to take a static mesh or an act or a blueprint like a wall or a road or something like that, and you click it in one spot and you can drag it, like SimCity style, where you can drag your roads across and you can just do all that. There's nothing out there on how to do that either. Like I said, I think I've got some ideas in my head on how to do that, and I think I'll get probably 1 million views if I figure out how to do that. And so I just need to sit down and do it. But that was initially one of my main reasons for not doing it. And I've always kind of been a big Tropico fan. And, well, that's all single player. I just wanted, that's why I originally built this for myself. This resource is right here. This isn't in the original project that I started back in 4.9. Actually, that's all this right now is totally new. I haven't worked on the original project forever. Just because I've been doing this, I thought actually I would get more than 50 episodes out of it before I had to start coming up with stuff. And there is still some things in there that I can do, but I'm trying to mix it up for you guys the best I can. And I've been getting a lot of people ask me about resources, so that's where we're at right now. But no, when I originally built it, it was all just for me, and it was just I was keeping it in Tropico, trying to make a city builder, with an economy type system. And we're going to do some economy stuff in this as well. But no, the plans for this is not. Now, I have been, do you will add, yeah. Hey, what's up? Yeah. Nice to see you. Yes, that's what I was just kind of talking about. Was I think I've come up with a way to be able to do that mentally. I know what I want to go and test, so I'm going to go and test that stuff out. And but that's going to be that's going to be a little bit down the road as far as doing the roads. But multiplayer, back to that one real quick. It's I need to scroll up here in live chat as well, and I could probably even drop this into the screen here so you guys can see yourselves talking. I'm here. Okay, make sure I didn't miss anything there because I can only see a couple lines of the chat. So, but my next one is a first-person zombie shooter. Just kind of Call of Duty. If you play Call of Duty Zombies, I'm not doing anything original. I just want to take something that I know people love and show them how to make their own versions of it. That right now is not multiplayer. To where I have it right now. Originally, when I was doing that, it wasn't necessarily for a series. Actually, I wanted to create a weapon system that I could probably sell on the marketplace or something, and then just do a tutorial on it as well. So if you wanted to support me, you could buy it on the marketplace. If not, you can still just go in and learn how to do it. That was kind of my thought with it, and it just kind of started snowballing into this game because all it was just a weapon system. As a matter of fact, the blueprint for it is actually called Weapon System. It's not called a zombie game. It's just a weapon system because that's what it was going to be. So like I said, it just kind of snowballed, and that's going to be coming pretty soon. That's something that we could probably turn into multiplayer because that is a multiplayer style game. I'll have to look into it. I haven't to this point. I haven't actually even touched that project in a little bit because I know I've been kind of slacking on this a little bit. I've been doing, you guys know, I let you know when I did the opinion thing on the animations. I'm doing some work for Modus Digital. They got a bunch of motion capture animations and stuff. The deal with them, when I just emailed when I was working on that zombie project, just to let you guys know. I mean, we're hour and 15 minutes in the chat. You're still hanging out, so that's cool. Let's just go ahead and talk about this for a second. When I was making that project, I was like, I was just using the basic starter content, the animations, the starter pack animations, and it was all fine. Even for the zombies, it was all fine and dandy. And I was like, it was kind of getting to a point where it would really be nice if I actually had some sort of zombies and animations. So I went and I'd kind of been eyeballing their stuff for a while, and because they do got really good stuff, and I was eyeballing it for a while. So I guess that sort of shows a way you could place roads. YouTube channel tutorial I'm making racetrack. Yeah, kind of. The problem with that is everybody. Anytime I've asked anybody on how to do roads, they say use splines, use splines, use splines, and yes, but that's pretty difficult because. Especially if you're trying to do like a click and drag where you click in the starting position and then you pull it out and you want a straight line or something of it. Splines are pretty hard to control. They're great if you want to go back and refasten the different points of the spline in there. But I tried stuff with that and I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't get any good results. I think I know what I need to do with it. It actually shouldn't be that complicated. If I sit down with it, I'm pretty sure I've got it mentally figured out. Of course, you think you know everything mentally until you actually sit down and try to do it, and you don't know everything. Let's see. Modus Digital stuff does have. Yeah, they do have. Let me go back. I'll answer these as they come up. Let me finish that real quick. So I said, you know what? Screw it, right? Because you just don't know. So I just sent Modus an email and was like, hey, I'm making this project. I plan on putting it on my YouTube channel. I'll tell you what. If you give me a discount on your animations, on your zombie animations, it didn't matter which level, you can give me 10% off. I'll throw your name up on my channel and I'll promote your animations because they're going to be in my series. And so it took a couple days, but he got back to me and he was like, hey, you know what? Let me talk to my CEO. I think we're just going to give it to you. So they did. They gave me the animations. I'm actually subcontracted with them right now. The deal is I get all their animations, and all I need to do is build some player controllers for them because they don't know the Unreal side of it. They don't know the programming side of it. So I build them some controllers that they can include with their packs. So when you download them, these controllers are going to be with them. So you'll have my work's going to be distributed with them. So that was the deal. I free animations for a little bit of controller work, and I've been that's where I've kind of been lately. Is I've been doing the mobility animations I showed in that other video. I've been building the controller for that. So I think it's pretty complex controller. So I think I've got it licked. I haven't touched it in a couple days. So. If you're listening, Crispin, if you end up watching this, sorry, dude, I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to finish that up. I just got to do some code cleanup on it. But yeah, once these are all done, if you buy their animations, or even if you've already bought them, and when they update them, you can download it and you'll have my controllers in there. And I'm going to do some videos on how to do these controls. Like I said, they're pretty complex. All right, so let's jump back into the questions here. Most digital stuff is new project being in. No, like I said, I'm going to throw this up here. Hopefully you guys don't mind seeing your names in lights here. So we're right here. Is it going to be it's going to be in blueprints, man. I don't know. I've been programming a long time. I've played with different languages, all different kinds of languages, and I've started to learn C++. When I got into UE, I really kind of want to do C++ because you can do more in it, but it's just, man, after I started this channel and then just everything going on, I really haven't had the time. I bought books. I've through the way of through big portions of different books to read it. You know, there's some stuff that's a little confusing to me, but and then even after you learn the C++, now you got to come in and you got to learn the UE4 libraries. And I was actually just chatting with or commenting back and forth with somebody earlier today. We had a long conversation in my newest video, episode 52. If you go look in the comments there, about doing this exact thing with the C++, and there's really not much support out there for it. They push these blueprints, and so it's really hard to find any good tutorials. So it would be awesome if I could learn that and give you guys those tutorials, and I'm hoping at some point that I can do that. If anything, maybe what I can do when that series drops is, you know, just because that was the whole point when I first started this series, was I still really didn't know that much about, you know, coding in the blueprints and doing everything. It was for me to learn as much as you guys are learning at the same time. So it's maybe that's something I can do. I can look at, we can go back, I'll code it in blueprints, and then maybe I'll do like a separate kind of series of that where we can go back and not necessarily recode the whole thing in C++, but we can take some of the functions in there and just kind of learn step by step. Because if I'm doing the videos on it, you know, like I said, I'll learn as well with you guys as we're doing it. But I really don't like doing something and trying to present it to you all haphazardly and you know, act like I know what I'm talking about, and I really don't. So, you know, I just try to keep it fair to you guys. So no, to answer your question there, Vasoke, is no, it's going to be blueprints. Yeah, this project, yeah, no, he was talking about the zombie one. This project, and another talk about new shooter. Yeah, okay. I have issue with NPC. When they get to residence, they become hidden in game, but another NPC still trying to avoid it. What could it be? There are any plans about particles or maybe sequencer? Yeah, we'll probably get to that. You know, right at this point, you really shouldn't worry about that too much when you're starting out with the game. You know, that's why things aren't too fancy in here, is because we're just prototyping, right? You really don't want to think about that stuff. It's great to think about it and try to think of what your end result of your game is going to be, but it's all building blocks. You need to start small, and the second you start worrying about, okay, I could do a sequence right here, so, you know, to show off these resource that we just put in here, and then you spend the time doing that, and it's kind of like falling down a rabbit hole, right? You just kind of get lost, and you start focusing on that, and then you don't do anything else. It's best just to pick something, build it up from the bottom, build it, and stack it like building blocks. And then once you get up to the top, to where all the things below it can support that, then you do that. So right at this point, no, just because it's not in the flow of what I'm doing. And where did that window go? It's not in the flow of what I'm doing. So no, there's no plans for that right now, but there could be. NPC stuck in, it's your collisions. You need to go back and just make sure that they're avoiding each other. And let me see, pull up an A. Let me move this window so I don't lose it again here. Pull up the AI. Let me see any other question I can answer while I'm doing this. Let me know if you need any help. I do not mind. Any help with with the C++, or what kind of help you talking about, man? Let's see. AI, NPC. Let's take a look at that. Hey, it didn't open it in the other window. It's been doing that a lot lately. I don't know why it opens everything in the other window. Let's see. Capsule component. It could be either your static mesh or your capsule. It's probably your capsule that's running the collisions. You just need to make sure that your collisions are properly set right in here to avoid each other. Because I think I've got, I've got it set to ignore pawn. So, and this is object type. The NPC is object type pawn. So any collisions that are object type pawn, it's set to ignore. So just make sure your collisions are set correctly. If you have any other issues with it after you set, confirm your collisions, let me know and I'll do what I can to help you out. One to three, Raymond. 1 to 3, what? 1 to 3 stars. My performance today. See, let me drop that down. I still got good stream going on, so that's good as far as health. Yeah. Oh, that's weird. I don't understand that. So, yeah, let me drop your guys' comments back on the screen here. Move that back over here. Just fixing a grammar error. 1 to 3. What was your grammar error? Oh, 1 to 3. No, just fixing. Do you share your work? Currently I can. And there is, just so you guys know, if you haven't realized already, there is a delay in the stream. So, yeah, I see your comments and don't think I'm ignoring it because it just takes it a few seconds before it catches up. The magnitude of, okay. I can. I haven't. I don't have a place for it yet, Vaso. I can at this point. I was talking about originally that I'm going to take the Modus animations and I'm going to put them in here into this project. I haven't done that yet. When I do that, I can't give it out because just because of the licensing. Even if I bought the animations, I wouldn't legally be able to do that because of the user agreement. You can put it in your game and you can sell the game with it in there. But if I give you the project with those animations in there, then those animations, even though you won't have the FBX files of them, you'll have the U asset of it. And you can take that U asset and you can migrate it from project to project. So essentially I'd be passing you the animations. But at this point, no, I don't. The only reason why I haven't given the code any of the project at this point isn't because of the lack of interest. I know a lot of people would like to have this, is because I've been really horrible. Let me move that off screen. Even though this looks like it's all commented and stuff, if I go back into here, and actually I try to do this is actually pretty nice. If I let me pull over my main project right here and show you guys. And actually for this, I put in some nice comments for all this for myself as far as tooltips. See, all these are green. This is my cheat sheet program that I talk to you guys about or mention all the time in my videos. I did actually put tooltips in here for me, so I know while I'm doing this what's going on. That's actually pretty rare. If I come find something else that's not as specific. Anyways, I'm really sloppy with my code. For me to feel comfortable giving it to you, I need to go in and I need to comment everything out. That way, it's easy for people to go in and say, why is he doing this, right? Sure, you can go back and watch my video and see why you're doing it, but you're looking at the code. It's just going to be easier if there's a comment right there on the code, if there's a tooltip on it. So I need to go back and do that. I have no problem with distributing it. So yeah, I'll let you know. Get or link on project. Yeah, so when I do that, I will let you guys know, because I would like to do that, and I'll do that, definitely before I put in any of the Modus animations. I will do that. Yeah, I could probably stop Nightbot from displaying that message or any of the messages right at this point. So yeah, do you guys have any other questions for me? Let me go ahead and enable, disable, and disable. Any other questions? We're about an hour and a half into this stream, I think. So it actually went off pretty well. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It kind of, watching now, I've got 8 of you guys in here. There is an analytic for that. I knew there had to have been analytics somewhere, and I just couldn't find it. Stream health, not good. Check audio settings. No active stream. Oh, that was at the beginning. Yeah, so there's 8 of you in here right now. Sweet. Is there a plan for keybind systems? What do you mean by keybind? I mean, we have some key bindings in here. Let me move this off. I mean, it's all within the project settings in here. As far as, this is, basic key binding. You just come in here into your project settings, down here into input. And I can't change anything. My actual cheat sheet project is all source controlled, so I got to check everything out, and I can't do that right now. But you just come in here, and yeah, we do this. Everything that I've done in this is done on video. I don't, with the exception of maybe dropping in a mesh or something like that. I don't show you guys how to drag in a mesh into the world, but all the coding, all the programming, and I'm waving my hand in front of my screen like you could see it, is player keybind. Oh, those for like I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I do anticipate doing some sort of user settings kind of a thing, so you can go in and you can change your video settings and things like that. But again, it's just kind of building blocks right now. I'm trying to get the core functionality of the game out there. Yeah, I do plan on doing little settings kind of a thing, and we could probably do some key binding into it, customizable key binding into it. Shouldn't be too hard. I've seen a few things on it. Shouldn't be too hard to do. So let me drop this one down. Yeah, we can look into that. But right now, like I was just talking about a little bit ago, it's just about building blocks. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty late where I'm at. I don't know what time zone you guys are in, but yeah, we're an hour and a half into it. I probably should about wrap it up, just because it's going to try to upload this video after we're done. It's going to take forever to do it, and plus it's recording on my system at the same time, so it's just building up and building up. And plus I don't want to, bore everybody else that watches this afterwards that can't see chat and talk to you guys. Maybe unit chase one. Do you work on move formation for one unit? No, actually, we're not doing. This isn't controllable. You can't physically control the NPC in this. If you've ever played Tropico, it's all just it's kind of like SimCity, I guess, except for it's not as overviewish as far as, SimCity, you're overlooking an entire world and things like that. This is a little bit closer. I'm just trying to mirror kind of Tropico. So you're upfront and personable. You can click the NPC that roam around in the world and have it display information about them, things of that nature. But no, the NPC in this are uncontrollable. We're setting up all the AI for them, so they're totally autonomous. They decide what they want to do. They go to sleep if they get tired. They'll go eat if they get hungry. And they'll leave your city if they get pissed off if you're not meeting their needs. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but that's ultimately what Tropico is. They come if your city is desirable, they're going to come. If it's undesirable, they're going to leave. So that's kind of where it's going from that. It's totally autonomous. 8:33 GMT. Oh wow, 16 hours. So we're 16 hours different there, Waffle. So yeah. Do you know any good studios for some work, like where you can buy people to do some extra work for your game? There's always people out there that want help, or that want to offer some help. Really, the best place to go to the forums. If you really want to get somebody to come in and do some work for you. Go to the forums. There's always people on there. I think they actually have a section in the forums for people that are for hire, quote unquote, for hire. So I think that's actually might even be what the thread is. I've never gone through it, but I know there's a thread in there, or a whole section in there. Will they riot? We could probably. I mean, I didn't necessarily have any anticipation of that. I know in Tropico, there's times when they'll go and they'll picket, El Presidente, and when they're unhappy and stuff. But honestly, that's something we probably could set up to where they get pissed off and they start setting buildings on fire and stuff like that. We can definitely do stuff like that. I never really thought about doing it, but it would be within the scope of this project. It could be something that could be done. Sure. All right. Cool. So, well, now there's 10 of you in here. Sweet. I got more people. I'm about ready to end the stream. So, yeah, I'll give the last couple people that just joined. Anybody got any questions on this? Like I said, we're an hour and a half into it. I probably should cut this off right now. One thing I did want to mention is somebody suggested to me the couple days ago that I start some sort of Facebook page or something for where all my subscribers can go together to kind of assist each other, like a forum or things like that. And I've thought about that, but to be honest, I don't have the time for it. If I had more time on my hands, you guys would be getting more videos. Just be honest about that. If I have more time, that's you guys would be definitely getting more. So I don't have the time to be able to manage something like that. However, I already got a Facebook page. There's only like 69 or 70 of you that are on there right now. But use my Facebook page for that. If everybody goes there, post a question, you can use that to not just talk to me, but talk to each other, get support from each other. That's one thing I've really liked about all you guys that are my subscribers, and even some of you that aren't, that are still regular frequent visitors, is you're not just leaving it to me to offer my knowledge and help with people. A lot of you have gone on and helped others try to find problems. I had somebody not too long ago, I don't remember who it was, I just realized that their message was sent to my spam folder and I made it public, but he even went and did a video to show how to fix an issue that a lot of other people were having. And so yeah, no, I really appreciate that. But use my Facebook page for that. If you want to go there and say, hey, everybody does, you don't have to worry about me. I'm not going to spam everybody. I hate that. And, I use Facebook as even in my personal life as little as possible. But use that for that. I'm there. I can help answer questions there. It's probably a little bit more straightforward than the comments in the YouTube channel. Just go there onto the Facebook, and then plus, everybody sees it. Whereas if you do it on a YouTube video, it's just on that video, right? It's not there not everybody can see it so easily. But if you do it on the Facebook page, everybody can go in there and scroll it and see the message and all social networking things. So yeah, use that. My RTS might be more like, sweet, I just got 3 subscriptions on Facebook. Awesome. Yeah, just use it for that. Have you ever played Banished? No, I've never played Banished. Is it pretty cool? My RTS might be more like that, or possibly AOE. Would there be any branch series for war RTSs? There could be. I've been getting a lot. Like I was saying just a little bit ago, my biggest drawback was the fog of war. Awesome. Yeah. It was the fog of war. That was really my big drawback, because it's hard to have a good Age of Empire style or Command and Conquer style game without having a fog of war. But again, building blocks, I guess we could build something like that and do that. I was about ready to call this series. I've kind of let everybody know that's regulars on my videos. Let you guys know that I was, kind of thinking about not stopping this series, but kind of putting it on hold. And I was going to do the zombie first-person shooter, just because it's a totally different style of a game, whole bunch of different new stuff that you can learn doing that as well. So because we do, you can learn a lot in that series, or you're gonna learn a lot in that series. So I kind of wanted to switch gears, but I've kind of got re-energized with this. When I sat down with the resources the other day, I was kind of excited. I've been thinking about, instead of thinking about the zombie game or any other just little minor aspects of it, I've been thinking about this resource. How do I want to construct this? How do I want to build it? And so it's actually been on my mind. Kind of been reinvigorated a little bit. So hopefully I can start producing. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, Brian Ellington, I believe Brian Ellington, he's being deployed. He asked me if I was going to have my resources videos done before February, because he's being deployed. So I'm going to do what I can, at least with this, because he wants to download them and take them to wherever he's been deployed at. And I want to try to get these done before, I've got probably 2 more videos in this resources before we can call resources quote unquote finished, and move on to the next thing. But the last one's going to be the AI, and that's going to be the tricky one. So, but I can't run multiple projects and videos at the same time. It's kind of difficult for me, just with my time constraint stuff. Because really, I do most of my programming. I know my boss isn't subscribed, but I do most of my stuff at work and I do something totally unrelated to programming. So, but I'm a supervisor and I can go sit in my office and do what I want to do. So I waste a lot of money, a lot of my company's money doing this stuff for you guys. So that's where I do most of it. I really try to keep my home time for my family, or like right now, everybody's in bed because it's so late at night. That's why I'm doing the video so late, because everybody's in bed, or my wife's at work actually. But we can, if it gets to that point and people are starting to fall off and not watch these videos, I can just kind of drop this and do something like that. Do something like the RTS here. or like the AOE style. We can work something like that and worry about the fog of war when the time comes. Like I said, building blocks. I'd really like to make RTS mixed with Total War. I saw my Facebook sub. Yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't notice that popped up on the screen. I was looking at the microphone while I was talking to you guys, so I didn't pay attention. And nice. I like all of us. Sweet. Yeah, awesome. Great to have you guys there. Thanks for coming out. I think we're going to wrap this up. It's fun chatting with you. Continue. Go to my Facebook page. Like I said, I check it. I still get emails and stuff when I get messages and notifications. But post stuff on the wall. The messages are kind of a pain in the butt for me. And if you got specific questions, I may not know the answer, but somebody else might. So just post everything on the wall. I will see it and I will respond to it. I try to be as helpful to you guys no matter where you post the stuff at as possible. But why not broaden your horizons and get the community of my subscribers together and ask each other and help each other out. And who knows, I think actually a couple of my subscribers got together and started a project together a few months ago. They were like, hey, I want to do this project. Hey, sweet, I'll come help you. So I don't know how that ever unfolded, but yeah, it's there. Help each other out one way or another. And I am, I wasn't going to do it originally. I didn't really want to announce it. I'm not necessarily announcing it now. But I have had a lot of people ask me about Patreon. Hey, you should be on Patreon. I want to donate to you. And that's cool. I was just kind of passive at first. And then I was like, when I thought about it, I was like, well, what I give, because that's the thing with Patreon is the patrons get something in return for their donations. And the videos are free. I don't care about, necessarily getting paid for them. But if you're going to give me your money, then you should get more than just what you're already getting for free, right? So I've come up with a couple ideas actually for that. So once I get that put on there, then I will make my Patreon public. And ultimately, what I've come up with that is I've got a virtual private server, and I do most of my projects on through Perforce, and it's all source controlled. You can see here, where's my other project at? You can see here that I'm source controlled. This is everything but the one I actually do in the videos isn't source controlled. But so anyways, I figured I'd give people access to my server to be able to put their own projects on Perforce. It's great because if you do a bunch of testing and tweaking and stuff and you totally trash your project, you can go back and revert everything and bring it back to its original state before you trashed it. And as well as the fact is because I work on my projects, the main reason why I do it is because I work on my projects in so many different locations. I got like 3 different locations I work on my projects, and having on Perforce, I can just, no matter where I'm at, I've got the project. So it is fantastic. So that ultimately, I think I've got a couple ideas with that. So that's pretty much going to be what you're going to get in return. I've got a couple levels. We'll talk about that. I got a video camera for Christmas, a webcam, a pretty nice Logitech. And I thought about hooking it up for the stream, but you guys don't want to see my ugly face right at this point. So, but I need to hook that up and do my Patreon video. That's ultimately what's holding me up from setting up my Patreon. So I'll get that, do my video, my introduction video to the Patreon. I'll make it public, and if you guys want to support me, great. It ain't gonna hurt my feelings any, but I'm gonna still continue to provide some free videos for you guys, but I'll try to come up with not just the Perforce thing, access to my private server, but also with maybe added support. Maybe we could do a private live session, or we can do some Skype sessions, or something along those lines. I just kind of want to start off small and see where it goes and snowballs from there. So we'll see how that goes. So night. Hey Ben, see you, buddy. What system source control do you? I use Perforce. Yeah, Perforce. I was using Git, but Git for their free account is you can only use. They only give you a gig of space, and that's when you're talking raw source codes and stuff. That's nothing. When you start adding static meshes and animations, your projects raw before you build them out, they're really large. So that's really not that much space. Perforce, when I got, it's kind of a little bit more technical to use. When I do it, I'll make some support videos for it. So those that do sign up for that tier, and they're not going to be expensive tiers, just so you know. But when you do sign up for that tier, you'll have the videos to access to know how to use and do the basic functions of Perforce, so you're not totally lost doing it. So it's a little bit more technical to get started in it, but actually it's really great, man. It's got, I don't have my source control open right now, but yeah, it's once you get in and actually know what you're doing, it's great. It's easy to use. You can use it all within here. I don't usually submit my source code from the project itself. I actually got their Perforce client, and I don't necessarily want to open up. I'm going to show you guys my desktop, because my desktop is as messy as my children's room, which is pretty horrible. P4V is the client. So yeah, I do use Perforce. RTS Home, that's the name of my workspace. I didn't mean to show my server location right there. But anyways, so it was there, so maybe I'll blur that out when the video goes. No, I won't. I don't care, because you can't get in. It's all, you need password and stuff. But yeah, so you come in here, man, and you've got everything, right? It's pretty easy to use. I just come in here, got my change list right here. You just right click it and submit it, and add your comments to it, but I've got, you can see all the different projects I'm working. Here's my zombie controller, my mobility controller I've been working on. I started an inventory system that I was going to do kind of on the same lines as my weapon system, but yeah, these IESs, actually I originally got this private server because I was actually working, we were actually going to build a production style game, and we haven't worked on that for a while. My speed very poor. Probably just get 2 gigs. And I won't care if you sign up for my tier. What I'm thinking, I don't want to throw anything out there, but I'm thinking with my tiers, $5 is going to get you access. $5 a month is going to get you access to my Perforce server. Generally speaking, I'm not going to be, I don't care how big your projects are. I got a lot of space on there. So yeah, I really don't, that's not going to be something, a concern for me. But I figured $5, that's awesome, because you can't go get sign up for Perforce anywhere else for less than like 10 or 15. But when I originally started using Perforce, they were doing it in beta. They have the cloud on their site, and you could sign up for free for it. So I was using that, and then I think they're charging for it now. So I had to figure out another solution. So I pay a chunk of money to have my private server, and I just use it for Perforce. I've got TeamSpeak on there. Raymond, good night, Ben. I'm going to say, I'm looking, sorry, I'm losing speed here. I had a problem today where my PC crashed and an entire blueprint got wiped. And another good reason, another good reason to use it. I always turn off autosave. If you notice, this whole time, autosave never popped up. I disable it. I hate it. But I am constantly, even in my videos, you guys know me, I'm constantly saying compile save, because, I hate that, man. Fortunately, I haven't had an editor crash in a while, but I still compile and save. Make series for source use and settings. Yeah, I will. I'll like I said, I'm going to do it. I'll make those videos when I make my Patreon public and open that up to you guys. I'll have those videos prior to doing that, so they're on the site. So yeah, I will have stuff there. I won't go too in depth on how to do it, but there is a lot to kind of learn here to do. But it looks overwhelming, but it's really not. Once you get into it and you start using it, there's only a few things that you actually do in it. But yeah, I will make a little small mini series support videos on how to use it. Absolutely. And actually, I started doing a series on source control, and then that's when I found out that, because I was going to suggest originally that everybody goes to use the cloud for Perforce because it was free. They give you like 5 gigs of space. You can have like 2 different projects on there, and it was free. But I didn't realize it was beta. And when I was making my videos, I went in and was like, crud, they charge for it now. And I'm not going to suggest you guys go pay for this and show you guys how to use Perforce and then say, now you got to go pay for it elsewhere. But now I've got my server. It's not really being used other by me. So, yeah. I'll be doing that. It will be soon. Like I said, I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to work out a time to be able to hook up my video camera. Main reason why I haven't done it is because I don't really have good lighting in here, and I want to try to make a professional video, or somewhat professional video, if I'm going to throw my face on there. So that's why I haven't really done it yet. but it will be. I will be doing that, and it will be probably within the next handful of weeks, I want to say. I don't want to give myself a time frame, but yeah, it will be. Cool. Anybody else? Ben fell off. I'm down to 10 or 9 of you guys now, so he fell off. Any other questions? Throw this back up here, close that, and let's see. Yeah, 2 hours into this video. Sweet. Yeah. At least all this was chatting and BSing was towards the end. So those that want to listen and not learn can more than welcome listen. I'd like to see how you do an inventory system. That's what I have been working on. Yeah, I've actually had some really good ideas for the inventory system. Like I said, I kind of fell down a rabbit hole when I started my weapon system. I fell down a rabbit hole doing that, and I kind of got sucked in, and it put me behind on my videos for my channel. And yeah, I really, yeah, for lack of a better phrase, fell down a rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland. Now I got my question answered. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Raymond, perfect. Yeah, and hit me up. I know you're new to the channel, because you asked me a question on episode 00, which is the introduction. So I know you're new to the channel. As you go through them, man, just throw me out a comment. I would suggest, I've got a lot of comments out there. Look through the comments before you post it, because chances are likely some of the most common stuff is already answered in the comments, not just by me, but everybody else. So, yeah. Is source control any way used with friends? Or only for one? No, actually, that was going to be kind of one of my other tiers I had considered. Like I said, I don't want to say too much of what I put out, because until something's actually in writing, it's not how it's going to be, because I'm that type of person. I'll get a whole bunch of ideas of something, then I'll actually put it on paper and read it and be like, you know what, this needs to change. But no, that was actually one of my ideas. Was the first tier for Perforce would be to where it'd be just a single user with, you'd have a main line. I already closed Perforce on. Let me look. I think I already closed it. Yeah. You get one main line branch, and I'll give a development branch. So you'll get two different branches that you could work between, because really, ideally, that's ultimately how I work. I just have the one development and one main branch. But I was thinking for the next level up, for how much ever more it is, it would be like a main line, a couple development branches, and then as well as the ability for the person to add, another person to the account. I did think about that. That is potentially one of probably the second tier of whatever the Perforce is. And the only reason why it would be for the second tier up would be because it's a little bit more administrative work for me. Managing Perforce hasn't been, at least for myself, hasn't been too bad. But it's going to be a little bit of work when I start letting people come. And it's not going to be open season. I'm not going to give a whole bunch of people access. Actually, I'm going to limit each tier. I'm thinking the first tier of Perforce, I'm going to limit to probably 10 people. And then the second tier, I'm probably only going to limit it to 5. So, and then it's just going to be a test program. It's not necessarily always going to be like that. If the demand is high enough and I can handle the administrative tasks that's going to come along with it, then I'll open it up to a few more people per tier. And the nice thing, one of the things that I thought of with that second tier, even though it'll be more, because it doesn't seem like being more to be just enough to have another person come in and work on your project, is I think what I'll do, because as the administrator, I'm going to be able to see your guys' project. I won't go through your projects. That'll all be disclaimed in there. I won't go through your guys' project. But if you have an issue, if you're in that tier and you have an issue or concern, or you need just a little bit of help with your project, I've got your project right there. I can jump straight into your project, barring that you give me permission to do so, and I can show you, I can do a little piece of code for you or something along those lines. I can physically help you inside your project without you having to zip it up, send it to me, go through it, zip it back up, and send it back to you, because really I don't like doing that. I've done that for a couple people so far. It's a little bit easier, I guess, than trying to answer a confusing question. But that I think that's something I'll include with that second tier of Perforce if you sign up for that on there. But I definitely thought about that. So I think we can let you go to bed. Actually, I'll probably be up for another hour or so, but you can definitely tell I'm getting tired. I can feel it a little bit, but if we're 2 hours in, yeah. So it's going to be the people that watch this after it uploads to YouTube that are going to struggle with it. So anyways, thank you guys very much for coming out. This is awesome. This is perfect first live stream. Hopefully it went off well enough that I can get another one out here soon. So yeah. Thanks a lot. Until next time, peace.